Ourselves in prayer. Let us all remember that we are in the most holy presence of our Lord and in Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Again, for the last time, let us pray our Lasallian prayer. I will continue, O my God, to do all my actions for the love of you. Saint John Baptist de La Salle, pray for
Pray for
us.
us.
Leave Jesus in our hearts forever. In Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. The semester. Now, so we have the control of growth and responses in plants. You can still recall our lecture, no, the very first, siguro mga second week, no, or second lecture. So we said that all organisms are capable of sensing, no, and responding to certain changes, whether in the internal and the external environment. So living organisms are capable of responding, no, and these responses are very important for the survival of the species. Okay. Now, comparing animals with plants, of course, no, we animals, we respond to responses very fast because we have our nervous system. But plants, no, they respond very slowly to the changes in the environment. And usually, the responses are in the form of movements or growth. Okay. And in this lecture, no, we can understand, we can appreciate, no, some of the factors that can affect or control, no, the growth and the responses in plants. So the topics would include the plant responses. We have trophisms and nastic movements. So I guess some were already discussed to you in the laboratory because we had certain experiments in the lab, no, that we did, no, that demonstrated, especially the trophisms. Okay, and before ending with this topic, so it's very important for you to differentiate trophisms from nastic movements. Okay. And then second topic would be the plant hormones or the phytohormones. So we have five, diba? We have auxins, gibberellins, we have cytokinins, abscisic acid, and ethylene. And in the lab, I guess we have demonstrated the effects of two hormones on plants. So you have auxins and ethylene, no? Most especially ethylene. Okay, and then we have a phenomenon called photoperiodism. So you might ask, no, how can plants sense, no, and thereby respond to changes in their internal or external environment? Because unlike animals rather, no, we have our sensory receptors, we have our CNS and our PNS, and again, no, we respond to certain stimulations very quickly. So how can they respond? So how are they able to respond? So we have here on the topic of photoperiodism, no, you would see that a very important family of proteins acts as a photoreceptor, so they can sense light. Okay, so ayan, ano? Okay, so under the first topic, we have the plant responses. So again, no, again in the lab, in relation to the lab. So when you say trophism, it actually involves plant growth. Okay, it involves plant growth. Again, no, it's either towards or away from a unidirectional stimulus. So if a plant grows towards a stimulation or a stimulus, it's called positive trophism. And if a plant, no, grows away, no, from the direction of the unidirectional stimulus, so it's called negative trophism. Okay. And I guess you're familiar with this, no? So we have responses of plants through light, and then we have gravity, no, responses of plants against light, gravity, and then touch, and then water, and then certain chemicals. So in the lab, so I guess we demonstrated the responses of plants, no, against light and gravity, 'di ba? Yung natatandaan niyo yung sa shoebox na mayroong mga mongo seedlings, so yun, eh, okay? Okay, now, so how do plants now respond to stimuli? So actually, the response is actually the output, eh, no? And the response actually includes three very important steps. So one is reception, second is transduction, and then third is the response. So from the term reception, so the plant, no, especially the plant cells, they receive certain stimulation. They receive certain messages. So a message could be brought, no, by a hormone, no, a chemical, or it could be an environmental stimulus. So again, no, it could be touch, it could be temperature, it could be water, it could be chemical, it could be light, it could be gravity. Okay. And reception involves the presence of a protein receptor, no, in the membrane of the plant, in the cell membrane of the plant. Okay. So if you can recall our lecture on the transport processes, on the cell structure, diba, we have discussed several types of membrane proteins. So the membrane proteins, no, the functions of the animal membrane proteins are also similar to the functions of the plant membrane proteins. Okay? So yan ano, so yung reception daw, ang pagtanggap ng mensahe, mensahe ay pwedeng galing sa chemical, yung hormone, o kaya sa iba't ibang mga stimulations, no? And then reception is followed by transduction. So ayan, it says here you have relay molecules. Okay? So transduction simply means that a plant cell is able to convert a particular message, no, a particular chemical or a particular signal, okay, to certain molecules, no, making the message more understandable to the plant. Okay? So, ginagawa niya yan para maintindihan niya ano ba yung message na dala-dala ng hormone? Ano ba yung message na dala-dala ng particular stimulus? Okay? And then, of course, no, um, after converting or transforming rather that message into a form, no, which could be more understood by the plant, so the plant now responds. So response could be flowering, it could be fruiting, it could be seed germination, it could be abscission, no? It could be photosynthesis, no? It could be growth, it could be epinasty, no? It could be yun, no? So whatever response, depending on the message, no, gotten by the by the protein receptor. So yeah, no? So this is an example. So you have here different receptors. So like animals, okay, so plants also have different protein receptors. So these receptors are specific, no, for particular chemicals or for particular signals. So after receiving the signals, okay, ito, no? So this show us transduction mechanisms. You have the conversion of the signal into different relay molecules. Okay, and the end product of the transduction is actually the response. So again, the responses are dependent on the substance or the signal, no, that is received by a particular plant. So yeah, no? And later we would discuss some examples, no, of the process, no, yung reception, transduction, and the response. Okay. So first we have phototrophism. So again, no? So this is the response of plants to light. And again, this was demonstrated in the laboratory. So in this example, the pedicel, no, actually curves in the direction of sunlight. Okay, like the sunflowers, no, like other members of the sunflower family. And in the lab also, it was explained, no, how a petiole or a stem, in this case, a pedicel, curves, no, towards the direction of sunlight. Okay? And sabi natin, no, in the laboratory, usually, no, a phototrophism is affected by the hormone auxin. Ba? So, na-discuss na nyo ito sa laboratory, I know this, no, during the post-laboratory discussion. So, the effect of auxin is that, no, when a particular part of the plant, like in this case, you have the developing embryo or developing stem of the monocot seed, no? So when a part is exposed to sunlight, so it's stated that auxin, no, migrates from the bright side. Ito, no? So auxin migrates from the bright side to the dark side. Okay? And since auxin is a growth-promoting hormone, diba? So auxin promotes the elongation of the cells on the dark side of the particular part, whether a stem nga or a petiole or a pedicel, no? And you can imagine, no, if the cells here, no, on the dark side, elongate relatively faster than those cells here on the bright side. So this now causes the bending, ba? So mas mabagal daw yung elongation ng cells dito. Mas mabilis yung elongation ng cells dito sa dark side. So kung formerly straight yan, pag nag-elongate dito, hindi masyado nag-elongate dito, it now causes the bending. No? And usually the bending is towards the direction of sunlight. So that's how auxin works. Okay. Now, next we have gravitrophism. Let me check. Oh yeah, no? So gravitrophism is the response naman of plants to gravity. So you have here negative gravitrophism of shoots. So if you are going to lay a plant, no, together with the pot, of course, on its side, given some time, okay, the stem now would slowly curve upwards against the pull of gravity. That's why it's called negative gravitrophism. And the curving of the stem is again influenced by auxin, no? So auxin now causes the elongation of the cells on the lower surface of the stem, relatively faster, no, than those cells on the upper part of the stem, causing again, no, the curvature of the stem upwards. So you can also see this, no? So halimbawa, after a very strong typhoon, the plants, they get partially uprooted and then they lie on their side. So given the time, so the branches, no, and the trunk, no, they would go upwards again against the pull of gravity. So that's negative gravitrophism. Okay. Whereas roots, of course, no, roots would have to go downward, diba? They would have to grow downward. So roots exhibit positive gravitrophism because they grow downwards towards the pull of gravity. And in this case, again, no, auxin promotes the faster growth of cells here on the upper part, relatively faster than the cells here on the lower part. So this now causes the curvature of the root downward. Okay? Di ba? Ang galing ng mga responses ng halaman, ano? So you have seen this, no, in the setup of the mongo seedlings. Okay, so next is thigmotrophism. So response of the plant to touch. Okay, so thigma meaning touch. And again, tropos turning. So we have, so thigmotrophism is said to result in an unequal growth. Okay, so unequal growth due to the contact with the solid object. So in this example, the solid object is a pole, or it could be a trellis, no? It could be a branch, depending on the location of the plant, no? Usually in forest, no, the solid object is the stem or the trunk of very big trees. Tapos there are lianas or mga woody vines. And you see that they are curved, no, once they touch the solid surface. So in this case, no, when you say unequal growth, so the cells on the layer or on the side not touching the solid object, they grow relatively faster, no, than those cells on the side touching the solid object, thereby again resulting to unequal growth of the plant. Okay? So yeah, no. So if you see, for example, a vine which is straight, so it means it's really not touching, no, a pole or a solid object, but once it touches the solid object, it now curves, it now bends. No? So there is an equal growth. Okay. Now, in relation to thigmotrophism, we have a phenomenon called thigmomorphogenesis. Okay, thigmomorphogenesis, the origin of a form, diba? The origin or the generation of a form in response to touch. Okay, so in thigmomorphogenesis, it says here that the entire plant, no, responds to a particular stimulation, not only the stem, not only the leaves, not only the roots, but the entire plant. Huh? So you have here two examples. Okay, so these trees, they belong to the same species. So they are the Jeffrey pine, no, under the scientific name Pinus jeffreyi. So one grew on a flat lowland. Okay, it was subjected to relatively moderate winds. Um, Try to see the habit of the plant, diba? So it grew very tall. The main trunk is really straight. And then you have more or less mga equal growth of the branches and the leaves. Okay? Okay, relative to the same, no? The same, again, relative to another individual under the same species, no, which grew on a very high cliff. And the individual was subjected to, okay, strong and constant winds. Okay, so you see the difference in the form, diba? Because this entire plant actually exhibited thigmomorphogenesis. So there is a change in the form, or the form, no, is actually dictated by touch, and the entire plant responded to the particular stimulation. No? So at a glance, you would not say that they belong to the same species kasi talaga namang magkaibang itsura nila, di ba? Pero yan, no, pareho silang Jeffrey Pine, no? That's why for those who are very fond of hiking, 'di ba? Trekking. So if you're going to compare usually the trees, no, the on areas at higher elevations, no, usually they exhibit stunted growth, that the trunks are very, very short and twisted, no, the bark is a very, very thick. So that's an example of thigmomorphogenesis. Kaya usually, no, those who are making bonsais, no, they usually hunt, no, for these types of trees, no, kasi nga maganda nga siyang gawin na bonsai. Okay? So ayun, no. So hydrotrophism, response of plant to water. So you have here an illustration, no, comparing a plant, no, that is growing in moist soil and one growing on dry soil. Then try to see the response of the roots. Okay? So you have here the normal response because moisture is located everywhere. Here, you have the bending or the curving of the primary root and also the lateral roots towards the area with water. Because remember, water is very important for plants, not only for serving as, di ba, electron sources for photosynthesis, and also for almost all chemical reactions, no, happening in the plant body. Okay? And then you have chemotrophism, so response of the plant to a chemical. So as an example, no, so when a pollen lands on the stigma of the flower, on the carpel of the flower, di ba? The pollen grain germinates. No, it becomes a mature male gametophyte, and in that case, one of the cells develop to become the pollen tube. Okay, and the pollen tube grows towards the direction of the ovule. Okay, so it does not grow anywhere else. Hindi papunta sa kaliwa, hindi papunta sa kanan, hindi papunta sa taas. But no, it goes downward. No, it goes to, okay, the direction no, actually goes to the microfile of the ovule until, okay, one of the, again, no, sperm fertilizes the egg. And the direction of the development of the pollen tube, no, is again in response to a particular chemical that is secreted by the ovule. Diba? Para hindi sayang yung energy ng plant. Para makarating yung sperm sa itlog na dapat niya talagang i-fertilize. Okay? So that's just one example. Okay? Now for the nastic movements naman, so these are the two very important differences na between nastic movements and trophisms. So nastic movements, they don't involve growth. Okay? So plants only move, no? They don't involve growth. Unlike in trophisms are always accompanied by growth, again, depending on the stimulation. Okay? And nastic movements are not dependent on the direction of the stimulus. Okay? So plants can move in any direction, no? Depending on the source of the stimulation. So yun yung dalawang pinagkaiba ng trophism sa nastic movements. So one example is seismonasty or thigmonasty. So the response of plants, no, movements, no, usually caused by touch, by shaking, or by thermal stimulation. Okay? So you are all very familiar with the makahiya, di ba? Yung Mimosa pudica. Okay? So one should touch the, halimbawa, leaflets of a Mimosa pudica. So what happens? So the petiole actually droops, no? When you say droops, it goes down, no? It bends downwards, and the leaflets, they close. And that's because of the presence of motor cells. I'm not sure in the lab if you've discussed the motor cells. Okay? The motor cells or the bulliform cells. Usually it's found in the grass family. Pero sa mga monocots marami yun. Pero sa mga dicots like ito, there are certain dicots, no, having the motor cells. So if you have here a section, okay, so halimbawa you cut the makahiya this way, no? It shows you here part of the stem, no, part of the petiole, and then you have here the leaflets. So the bases of the leaflets are actually the motor organs. So containing the motor cells or the bulliform cells. So once the makahiya is touched, okay, in any direction yan, no? So the bulliform cells or the motor cells here become flaccid. They become less turgid compared to the cells here. So yung kabila ganun din, no? So the cells here become flaccid. Here becomes flaccid. The cells here, they remain turgid. So this now causes the closure of the leaflets. And also, ito din, ano, meron sa main pulvinus. That's why the petiole droops. Okay? So, yan, no? So again, response to touch or the seismonasty or thigmonasty. So it says here, no, the stimulus is the loss of turgor pressure due to the loss of potassium and water. So later, we are going to explain this, no? We have a mechanism. So same illustration lang din. So another example, you have the Venus's flytrap. So if you have the traps of the plant, there are 3 mechanosensor hairs, usually very near the base of the trap. So once the insect touches the mechanosensor hairs, again, no, this causes the cells here to be, the motor cells here to become flaccid and here. So yung doon sa medyo labas, they are still turgid and this now causes the traps to shut. Okay, catching the insect. So yun, ano? Okay, so another is, okay, nyctinasty or photonasty, no? Nyctinasty or photonasty. So this actually involves the movements in response to changes in the length of night and the length of day, no? So we are calling them usually the sleep movements. Okay, so they occur daily in response to light and dark and temperature changes. And again, the movement could be attributed to the loss of turgor pressure of the motor cells in the pulvinus. So examples are the calatheas, no, or the prayer plants. So they are called prayer plants because during the daytime, okay, the leaves are open, so that they could have a larger surface area exposed to the sun for photosynthesis. But during the nighttime, the leaves, they close, no, like hands at prayer. That's why they are called prayer plants, no, mga Calathea species. Okay? So it's a day-to-day response, no? Kaya nga sabi, no, it's an example of a sleep movement. So another, we have certain dicots, okay, which are mostly legumes, no? You have nga yung makahiya, yung acacia, ipil-ipil, no, sampalok so hopefully you're familiar with sampalok, no?
Yes
With
po.
acacia, 'di ba? So if you know the Acacia Avenue, the road between the CTHM and the Cubos going to the Lake Park, 'di ba? So yung mga puno do'n, mga acacia 'yon. So pakita natin, no? So ayan, example ng ipil-ipil, ito yung acacia pero bonsai ito, no? So yung mga nakatanim sa Lake Park natin, mga acacia yan, kaya tinatawag siyang Acacia Avenue. So you would notice during the daytime, the canopy is somewhat closed, no? Because the leaves are open, the leaflets are open. But during the late afternoon, no, especially during this time, no, in which the length of night is longer than the length of day. So usually they close, no, during the late afternoon and of course during the nighttime, making the canopy somewhat open. Okay, yan. So, and it happens every day, no, in response to, again, changes in light and temperature. No? And then another example of nyctinasty is the blooming of flowers. So typically, the flowers, they bloom during the daytime, di ba? Pero some flowers, they bloom only during the nighttime. And these are some examples. Okay? So I'm not sure if you're familiar with this plants. Are you familiar with the Queen of the Night?
Hindi po.
Hindi po, okay. Ito yung nabalita kay Jessica Soho na milyon ang halaga sa ibang bansa, no? Pero sa atin, mumurahin lang yan kasi it's very, very common to tropical areas, no? And yeah, it usually blooms during the nighttime. And then after that, wala na. No? Mga ilang araw lang, tapos wala na, no? Kaya it's very expensive in other countries. So yeah, so I'm not sure if you've seen, eto, I think this is familiar, yung 4 o'clock.
Yes
Ha?
po.
Yan,
Tsaka
familiar
yung
yan.
datura rin po,
Yung
miss.
datura, no?
Common
Yan.
po yan dito
Eto,
sa'min.
rosal to eh. Are you not
Ay,
familiar with rosal?
hindi pa ako nakakita niyan, miss.
Ayan.
Like
So,
close up.
okay, maganda siya kasi ano siya, parang amoy sampagita yung rosal, no? Ito,
Mm,
common din to eh, na weed, yung
moonflowers.
moonflower.
Miss, yung ano,
Yes.
miss, yung Plectranthus cotyledioides po ba, ano rin po siya sa Nyctinasty?
Ano nga
Or
yung Plectranthus?
yung Mayana po?
Ay, hindi, hindi.
Hindi po, miss. Bakit po,
Oo.
miss, nung last time nung nasa biolab po kami, like meron pong ah binigay sa'ming specimens, 2 specimens. Isa po, hindi po siya, nagkaroon ng sunlight and one had
Ah,
sunlight. Pero iba po yung color nila sa isa't isa.
hindi. Ano yon? In order to demonstrate the effect of sunlight on photosynthesis, the plant was deliberately kept,
So
ah,
ano po siya,
oo,
okey,
para lang
for a long time, gano'n.
oo, for a long time. So, parang at least 48 hours yun eh, 'no, to really demonstrate that light is very important in photosynthesis. So, sinadya
Photosynthesis.
yun,
So ato
sinadya.
po, nakakabit po 'tong mga 'to
Oo,
sa
yan
plants
actual
nila,
oo,
okey.
actual yan 'no.
Okey.
Ito, you're familiar with the dragon fruit?
Opo,
Ayun,
dragon
'di
fruit.
ba ang dragon fruit 'yan, katulad din sila ng Queen of the Night, eh, kasi ito ay under the Cactaceae family din. So, they also bloom during the nighttime, 'no? Ito ba, I'm not sure kung yung Casablanca, eh, parang stargazer din, sa mga mahilig sa bulaklak. So, 'yan 'no, meron pa yung mga night blooming lotus, 'no? 'Yun, so those are examples. Tapos halimbawa, if you're familiar with yung Hoya species, yung mga rubber plants, they also release nectar during the nighttime. So that's an example of nyctinasty or photonasty. That's why you can only smell the flowers during the nighttime naman. 'Pag daytime wala silang amoy, 'pag nighttime sila mabango. Okay, mga gano'n. Okay? Yan. So these are again examples of plants exhibiting nyctinasty or photonasty. Okay? And yun nga, sleep movements are examples of circadian rhythms. So when you say circum, it means about, and dies means day. So circadian rhythms, they occur within a 24-hour cycle. Okay? Katulad natin, di ba? We sleep, we wake, tapos we get hungry every breakfast, every noontime, every dinner time, no? Kasi they are examples of circadian rhythms, no? And they tend to be persistent, no? So, kaya nga sabi, we have to set our biological clock, no? And that's why for those people who are working during the day shift and then they are going to transfer to the night shift, it would take some time for them to adjust, 'di ba? And the same is true when people are working during the night shift and then they will be transferred to the day shift. Ganon din. Matagal din sila mag-adjust because they have to set their biological clock, no? So in plants, the rhythm is also maintained by a biological clock, no, which is set by a photoperiod. So when you say photoperiod, this only describes the length of day and night, no? So yun nga, examples are the sleep movements under nyctinacea or photonasty, no? Yung opening and closing of stomates, no? And also flowers, and the secretion of nectar. So these are some of the examples of circadian rhythms, again, happening, no, within a 24-hour cycle. Okay? So we have points to remember about the plant responses. So again, we've already differentiated the trophisms from the nastic movement. So we said that trophisms, they usually involve growth. Okay, again, it's either towards or away from a unidirectional stimulus. Okay, so there is always growth, no, when we are talking of trophisms. But when we are talking of nastic movements, we're only talking about the movements of plants. Okay, not necessarily the growth of plants kasi walang growth. And the movement is in response to a non-directional stimulus, no, usually touch or light. Okay? Okay, so that would be for the first topic. Any questions on trophisms before we move on to the plant hormones? May tanong po sa trophisms? Okay, so I guess na, no? Now we go to the plant hormones. We have the 5 hormones, no? So it says here that almost all communication in plant is done by hormones, no? So from the Greek word hormaio, meaning to instigate or to initiate, okay? So there are 5 hormones in plants, and to differentiate them from the animal hormones, they are referred to as the phytohormones, no? And like the animal hormones, the phytohormones are also synthesized in one part of the plant, no? The phytohormones are moved, no, to other parts of the plants, again to instigate a particular response. And where do you think would the phytohormones pass? In the xylem or in the phloem? Being proteins. Saan sila dumadaan? Xylem or phloem?
Flowing po ba?
Sa phloem, di ba?
Phloem po.
Yes, no? Because the xylem only transports water and very, very small ions eh. Hindi na natin na-discussion eh, yung transport. Anyway, no? Siguro in the next subjects na lang. Okay, and phytohormones, since they are larger substances, they are usually no protein in nature, they flow no inside the phloem to be transported to some other parts of the plants. Okay, so there are 5 hormones. Again, we have auxins, cytokinins, gibberellins, abscisic acid, and ethylene. So we first discuss auxin. So again, no, so auxins are growth promoting hormone. So the naturally occurring auxin is indole acetic acid or IAA, but there are also synthetic auxins. You have indole butyric acid, naphthalene acetic acid, or the NAA. And the naturally occurring auxin, yung IAA, can be produced by shoot and apical meristems. Usually the meristems, young leaves, and then the flowers and the fruits, and the seeds also. And from its name, so again, no, it promotes growth, no, a growth promoting hormone. So let's try to see the effects of auxin. So we said earlier that auxin influences gravitrophism and phototrophism, di ba? We have discussed this earlier. And sabi natin, no, so how does auxin works? Okay? So this is an example of a 3-step process. Okay, so you have here, di ba sabi natin, reception, and then you have here transduction, and then you have the response is the growth of the plant. Okay? So, sabi natin, di ba, in phototrophism, so auxin migrates from the bright side to the dark side of the plant, no, and causes the relatively faster elongation of the cells there, no, at the darker side of the plant. So paano nangyayari yon, no? So when auxin binds to its receptor, it now forms 3 secondary messengers. Okay? So these secondary messengers, they are included in the mechanism of transduction. No? And they are called secondary messengers because they are the ones eliciting the response, not the auxin. No? So yung auxin, tagadala lang siya ng message. No? Tagabigay lang siya ng message. Okay? So one secondary messenger actually activates a proton pump. So, let's have this slide, no? So, ayan. Sabi, no? So, when auxin binds to the receptor on the membrane, so it actually activates, ayan, no? It activates a proton pump. So, pag sinabing proton pump, di ba? It pumps hydrogen ions from the cytoplasm going to the cellulose, going to the cell wall rather, no? So if there is an increase in the hydrogen ions, the pH becomes acidic, and the acidic pH actually activates the enzyme, yung cellulase. No? So cellulase now cuts cellulose. Okay? And sabi natin, di ba, cellulose is very important in making the cell wall very tough, very strong, and very rigid. So what happens if you have a loosened cell wall? So it means a loosened cell wall can accommodate growth of the plant, no? So if more water would enter the vacuole, diba? And the cell wall, no, is loosened, meaning it's somewhat stretchable or flexible. So it means as water enters the vacuole, it can now elongate. Now the cells can elongate. Okay, so that's how auxin causes the elongation or the growth of the cells on the dark side of the plants. Okay, so that's the first one, ano? The second secondary messenger actually causes the release of cell wall materials, from the Golgi apparatus. Okay, and the third secondary messenger binds with a DNA binding protein. So this complex now enters the nucleus, binds to a particular gene on the DNA. Okay, so like in the lecture, the gene is transcribed to become a messenger RNA. The messenger RNA goes to the cytoplasm, and the messenger RNA is translated, diba? And the response, or the production, the response is actually the formation of proteins or growth factors. Okay? So if you can imagine, so if the cell wall can elongate, there are growth factors telling the cell to grow, and if there are cell wall materials, again, to fix, or to add to the growing cell wall, so it means that the cells really can grow. So that's the primary work of auxin. That's why it's called a growth promoting hormone. Okay? So yun, Now, another effect of auxin is apical dominance. So this was demonstrated in your laboratory, di ba? So when you say apical dominance, it says here that as long as the shoot terminal meristem or apical meristem is present, it dominates the primary growth of the plant. No? Because the terminal apical meristem, that's the source of auxin, no? And it promotes the growth of that part. So dinodominahan niya, no? It dominates the primary growth or the elongation of the plant. Sabihin niya, ako ang boss. Ito lang portion na to ang papahabain ko at papalakihin ko, no? So yon. Now, what happens if you remove the apical, the shoot apical meristem? So natanggal na, no, natanggal na si apical meristem. So apical dominance is now removed, 'di ba? Kasi nawala na yung nagdodomina ng paglaki. So apical dominance happens, no, because auxin only promotes the growth of the shoot apical meristem and prevents the growth of the lateral buds. But when the terminal or the apical shoot meristem is removed or is cut, like in this case, so auxin now transfers to the lateral buds. Okay? And auxin now promotes the growth of the lateral buds. Okay, that's why when a plantita now wants to her plants to be more fuller, 'di ba? She trims the plant. Kinakat niya. Usually yung mga talbos, yung mga yan natatanggal, no? So growth dominance is distributed to the lateral buds. So if one constantly trims, no, her plant, so it makes the plant fuller. Okay, bushier and fuller. Kaya natitingnan niyo sa mga bahay niyo, 'pag hindi nagugupitan ng halaman, haba lang ng haba o taas lang ng taas 'yon. Pero 'pag tinanggal niyo yung mga dulo-dulo, ang tawag pa nila yung pinching off, no, tinatanggal nila yung mga dulo-dulo na 'yan. 'Yun, no, it promotes the growth now of the lateral buds. Okay? And again, this was demonstrated in your Mayana, no, during the laboratory. Okay? So another effect of auxin, you have enhancement of root initiation. No? So it says here, weak solution of auxin applied to woody cutting causes rapid growth of adventitious roots. Adventitious because the roots, they come out from the stem, diba? So you have here an experiment, no? You have a stem cutting with the buds intact. So the buds are the sources of auxin. Okay, so when the buds are intact, no, the auxin now promotes the differentiation of roots. So it means that this is, of course, more likely to survive. Diba? Whereas if you have a stem, no, which is the bud, so no source of auxin, so it now fails to develop roots. Kaya pag magpo-propagate ng halaman, kung may mga stem cuttings, mas maganda yung may mga smaller shoots. Kasi they are the sources of auxin for the development of roots. Again, no, to increase chances of really propagating your plants. Okay? Yes, question.
Is this the same thing for lateral buds din? Ay, lateral buds din po ba if they're cut
Ah, ah, ah.
off? Okay.
Ah,
There's no promotion for roots.
yes, oo. Basta kasi
Okay.
usually ang sources ng auxin yung mga meristems, yung mga actively growing regions of the plants.
Hmm.
Okay? So yan, no? So that's one tip, no, if you want to really propagate your plants using your stem cuttings. Kaya magtataka kayo, ba't kaya yung isa nabuhay, yung isa hindi? So usually titingnan nyo, may mga shoots yung mga nabubuhay na cuttings. Yung mga stem lang, usually, no, mababa yung chance na mag-survive. Although, kasi ako when I cut the Kamachile stem, wala talagang dahon yun but I was able to propagate naman. But again, no, if the specimen, no, had mga shoots, siguro mas madaling mag-propagate. Okay? So another effect of auxin, which is really advantageous, no, economically, is the development of seedless vegetables. Seedless fruits pala, kasi yung mga vegetables nga pala, mga fruits nga pala, yun yung iba, no? So ayan. So it says here the synthetic auxins are utilized, so they are sprayed on flowers to produce seedless fruits. Okay, because auxin synthesized by the seeds, okay, promotes fruit growth as shown in this illustration. So you have here a not so fruit. So the seeds are removed. Actually, they are the fruits, diba? They are akins, no? So after removing the fruits or the seeds, okay, when synthetic auxins are sprayed or added, so it promoted growth or ripening of the fruit. Yung isa, no, walang addition, so it did not develop. It did not promote fruit growth. Okay, that's why we are enjoying mga seedless tomatoes, mga seedless grapes. Ano pa ba yung mga seedless? Seedless watermelon. Meron no?
Yes po.
Seedless, ano pa? Oranges. Ano pa?
Lemon.
May lemon na ba?
Hindi pa ako sure, miss.
Parang ang lemon na nakukuha ko may mga buto pa no? Anyway, yun, no? So because, so you know that seeds, they develop from ovules. 'Di ba? When the egg is fertilized by a sperm. So even without fertilization, you can have the development of fruits. Kaya walang seeds, no? Kasi the eggs in the ovules, no, were not fertilized by the sperm. Kaya walang buto, no? So pwede 'yun. So another, no? So auxin is synergistic to cytokinin, another hormone. So when you say synergistic, they work together beautifully to create a response. Pag antagonistic naman, they are against one another. So sila, they are synergistic. They work together, no, to create a response. And this is actually advantageous in mga tissue culture setups. No? They are utilizing auxin and cytokinin in order to create plantlets. So halimbawa, no, when an explant is a part of a tissue, no, that is gotten from the source plant, diba? So halimbawa, when an explant is grown in a medium containing moderate amounts of auxin and cytokinin, okay, the cells, they only divide. Okay? But they become undifferentiated. Divide lang ng divide until you have the formation of a mass of undifferentiated cells. We call that a callus. Okay? But when the callus is transferred to a solution, okay, relatively containing more auxin than cytokinin, sabi natin auxin is a growth-promoting hormone, and auxin promotes root development, di ba? So, yan, no? So, nagkakaroon na ng roots. And when this callus, no, with roots is transferred to another solution, this time containing relatively more cytokinin than auxin, sabi na, cytokinin kasi promotes the development of the shoot, no? So, yan. So, ito, ano lang to, mas marami ang cytokinin, kaya may shoot development. But when this is transferred to this one, may roots na siya, may shoot pa. So, ibig sabihin, the plantlets can be propagated, can be transferred to other media, no, in order to allow normal growth and development. So, that's why it's very, very easy to propagate plants, lalo na nung nauso yung mga iba't ibang plants nung pandemic, no? They are really mass producing these plants, no, via the cell tissue culture technique. Okay? So yan. So yan, another hormone, we have the cytokinins. So from the term cyto, it means cell, kinins, meaning to move. So cytokinins are, ano naman, they promote cell division. No? They promote cell division. So the naturally occurring cytokinin is zeatin. And from the term zeatin, so this was first observed and isolated from zeamase or from corn. Na? Kauna-unahan siya. And then there are synthetic cytokinins. We have kinetin, benzyladenine, benzylaminopurine, and they are utilized commercially, na? Like the one I showed you in tissue culture. Okay? So the naturally occurring cytokinins can be produced in actively dividing tissues of roots, seeds, and fruits. And again, generally from the term, cytokinins promote cell division. So what about the effects? So we have discussed this earlier, no? So cytokinins, they enhance shoot initiation and development. Okay, and then cytokinins, they prevent senescence or aging, no? They prevent senescence or aging of cut flowers and also vegetables in storage. That's why they really last for a relatively longer time, no, compared to the flowers and the vegetables not incorporated with cytokinin. Okay? Kaya matagal sila, eh, 'no, kahit na yung mga nasa dangwa, yung mga nasa flower shop, usually 'di ba when you buy a rose, there is a solution inside a very, very small tube. There is a fluid solution there. So yun, meron yung cytokinin in order to really prolong the shelf life of the rose or other plants or other cuttings, no, flowers and vegetables. Okay? So in relation to preventing aging or senescence din, no? So it says here that cytokinins initiate growth of the lateral buds even when apical dominance is present. So you have here two tobacco plants. You have an ordinary tobacco plant. They are of the same age. So this tobacco plant was genetically modified so that it produced cytokinins as it aged. Huh? So compared to an ordinary one or a normal one, so this already exhibited senescence or aging. No? Natuyo na yung mga dahon, there is leaf fluorosis, there is leaf necrosis, and it's not very bushy compared to this one. Because sabi nga, no, the cytokinins, they now not only prevent senescence but also promote the development of the lateral buds. That's why this genetically modified tobacco, no, is fuller. Diba? Kasi, ayun, pinapagrow din niya yung mga lateral buds. Okay? So another, so ito, no, so sa cytokinin, so if only, no, we can apply cytokinin in our skin, so that we prevent aging, no? So syempre hindi naman tayo halaman. We don't have the receptors like them, okay? So another we have the gibberellins. No, gibberellins are the ano naman, they are the growth promoting hormone naman, mga pampatangkad, no? Pampatangkad. So if only we can drink gibberellins para tumangkad din, ano? So anyway, so there are about 70 non-gibberellins, but the most common is the gibberellic acid or the GA3. Kaya may mga subscripts na letters, no? So to distinguish them from other gibberellins. And the gibberellic acid, no, was given its name because in 1926 daw, I guess you can also read this, no, in the school book kasi I uploaded there the page. Okay, for the history of the name, no, for the etymology of the name. So sabi, it was in 1926, no, a Japanese scientist actually studied a fungal disease of the rice seedlings. So he called this the foolish seedling disease because the rice seedlings, they really grew relatively faster, making the stem very weak, no, causing the collapse of the seedlings. So, masyadong humahaba ng mabilis yung mga seedlings daw ng rice. Tapos, syempre, nagko-collapse yun kasi hindi naman matibay yung mga stems nila, no? And he discovered that it's because of the fungus, no? So, the fungus is under the scientific name Gibberella fujikuroi. Hence the name gibberellic acid, na? And that particular fungus actually during that time, no, produces a large amount of this particular compound, yung gibberellic acid nga, causing the seedlings to really grow relatively faster than the usual. Okay, hence the name gibberellic acid. Okay. So they can be sourced from young leaves ulit, roots, embryos, seeds, and fruits. And yun nga, no? So gibberellins are the growth promoting hormones. So example effects. So you have stem elongation. Katulad nito, it's a mustard normal mustard. No? So yan, with gibberellins. So again, no, you have stem elongation, naging gigantic. So ito na, they are subjected, ito ay grass lang typical grass, no? Then subjected to different concentrations of gibberellins, diba? Ito din, yung Christmas flower, yung poinsettia, without gibberellins, with gibberellins. Ito, yung cabbage. This is our normal cabbage, but given gibberellins, ayan, naging gigantic. So, sana all, no? Pag nabigyan ng gibberellins, tumatangkad din. Pero syempre, hindi naman pwede sa atin yan. Okay? So, another effect of gibberellins, we have the breaking of dormancy of buds. No? So, by breaking the dormancy of buds, gibberellins now stimulate the onset of flowering in many plants. Kahit na hindi pa talaga bubulaklak, no, pag nilagyan ng gibberellins yan, nag-i-initiate daw, nag-uumpisa na magbulaklak ang mga plants. No? It also induces growth of plants and increase the size of the flowers. So ito, without gibberellins, with gibberellins. No? The stems are longer compared to this one. And the flowers are really bigger, diba, compared to the untreated ones. Ito din, no, some flowers are initiated to bloom. Yung mga tinatawag nilang mga, anong tawag doon? May mga blooming sprays. So yun, meron silang mga gibberellins na pampabulaklak. Okay? So in relation again to breaking the dormancy of buds, so by spraying gibberellins, no, people can also produce larger seedless grapes. So being seedless is the work of auxin, di ba? So if you spray auxin to the plant, to the flowers, you have the development of seedless fruits. Diba? And when you further spray cytokinins, okay, so the fruits, they become bigger. So seedless na, mas malalaki pa. Diba? Kaya nga they are really taken advantage in agriculture. Okay? Also, in the improvement of rice production din. Okay? Ito. So, how does gibberellic acid break dormancy in seeds? Okay, so this is again another example of the three-step response of the plant. So when gibberellin is received by a receptor, it now causes, ito yung transduction mechanism, no? It now causes the opening of calcium gates or calcium channels. So when calcium channels open, calcium ions go into the cytoplasm and bind to a DNA binding protein. Now the calcium DNA binding protein complex again enters the nucleus, binds to a specific gene on the DNA. So that specific gene is again transcribed to become a messenger RNA. The messenger RNA again goes out to the cytoplasm, is translated to become proteins. And in this case, you have the production of amylase. Okay, and amylase is an enzyme digesting amylose, diba? Which is a starch. And amylose is stored in the cotyledons, diba? So cotyledons or endosperm, as you've also seen in the laboratory. So when amylase is activated, again, it digests amylose, and sugar will be available for the plants to utilize in cellular respiration. So it can produce energy. So if energy is available, now the seed can germinate. Okay? So that's the mode of action of gibberellin. No? That's why it can also break dormancy in seeds. Pinapatubo niya yung mga buto. Okay? So the fourth one, we have abscisic acid. No? So we have ito. So it says here, abscisic acid should not really be the name of this hormone because abscisic acid does not function naturally in abscission. Kasi pag sinabi nating abscission, this is the falling of plant parts, di ba? Yung pagkalagas. Pagkalagas ng dahon, ng buds, ng prutas, ng flowers. No? But naturally, abscisic acid does not function that way daw. But how was this given its name? No? So kasi in the olden times, when people ano ba yun? Incorporated abscisic acid or that particular compound to a stem cutting during that time, it caused the abscission of the plant part. So ang tinawag ngayon nila sa hormone na to ay abscission. Ay abscisic acid pala. But in reality, this not really function in abscission. But which hormone functions in abscission? It's from your lab.
Ethylene.
It's ethylene, di ba? Ethylene ang nagpapalagas ng mga dahon. Hindi naman talaga siya abscisic acid. Okay? But the scientist opted to retain this name na lang, no? So, ganun na lang, in-explain na lang na hindi naman talaga siya nagkukos ng abscission. Okay? Where in fact, no, it's present in any green tissues with chloroplast, di ba? And in abscission, nawawala yung mga di ba? Nawawala yung mga dahon, nagiging color yellow, nagiging color orange, depending on the species. So, ibig sabihin, hindi talaga siya work ng abscisic acid, no? Because abscisic acid is found in green tissues, in living tissues. Okay? And also in monocot endosperm and also in roots. Okay? Where in fact, abscisic acid is said to be a stress hormone, no? It's a stress hormone. It's actually very protective in nature. So when the plants are subjected to stress, they work, no? Like for example, in temperate areas, no? So abscisic acid actually initiates and maintains seed and bud dormancy in order to protect the plant. Yan nga, in temperate areas, di ba? During fall. Why do you think that the leaves fall during this season? What season comes after fall?
Winter.
Okay, winter. And during winter, what happens? What happens to the temperature, to the climate?
Malamig.
Becomes
Masyadong
cold.
malamig, di ba? Masyadong malamig. And if the leaves will remain on the plant, okay, they will just freeze. O kaya during fall, usually it's very, very windy. No? So if it's very windy, the plants could be dehydrated, di ba? Faster than the usual kasi may mga dahon sila. Because remember the leaves, no, with stomates, di ba? Usually water is lost from the body of the plant through transpiration. And transpiration is usually via open stomates. So kung marami silang leaves, maraming mga open stomates, mabilis silang madehydrate. They will desiccate. So in order to respond to that particular water stress, no, the trees, they would have to let go of their leaves. They would have to shed. Kaya tinatawag silang fall kasi taglagas. No? And that's usually done to protect the plant from dying, from dehydration. No? And during that time, the abscisic acid, di ba sabi, from the green tissues of the plants, so they migrate from the leaves going to the going to the buds. So transforming these buds into winter buds kasi they are provided with thickened scales, no, for protection against the cold, no? So tingnan nyo, nung nawala si abscisic acid sa dahon, lumipat siya ngayon sa buds, o saka nag-fall ang dahon. And that's because of ethylene din. Na? And lumipat siya sa mga buds, okay? Making the buds dormant. No? So that when spring comes, when the conditions become favorable, so the buds again would develop. No? To become leaves, to become flowers, etc., etc. So abscisic acid is actually for protection. Okay? Unlike the previous notion that it's really for abscission. No? So yan. So abscisic acid again, no, for those plants, halimbawa in tropical areas, no, those plants not undergoing abscission, so they now abscisic acid now closes, no, the stomates. Okay? But in the Philippines, tingnan nyo, pag ganitong panahon, may mga puno din tayo na nawawalan ng dahon. Examples. Familiar ba kayo sa mga puno na nawawalan ng dahon? Ay, naglalagas din ng dahon. Meron din tayo mga ganyang species eh. Yung acacia
Santol
natin.
po ba?
Yan, yung santol, no? Yung langka. yung mga yung acacia, 'di ba usually nagtataglagas yung mga golden shower, yung mga cassia fistula, yung may bulaklak na yellow, mawawala yung dahon tapos magkakaroon ng maraming flowers. Yun. It's also because of, again, yung ethylene at saka meron din silang abscisic acid. Okay? But what happens to plants which don't shed their leaves? So they only close the stomates no, during water stress. No? And this is what happens. Sabi, so when abscisic acid binds to the receptor, it now causes the opening of the calcium channel. So calcium enters the guard cell. No? And the influx of calcium ions causes now the release naman, no? Release of the potassium ions. And as potassium ions leave the guard cells, water follows passively. Remember osmosis, ano? And if water is removed from the vacuoles, the guard cells, they become flaccid and the stoma closes. So that's the effect of abscisic acid, again, to protect the plant from dehydration, no? So, ito yung kanina, yung sabi natin na stomatal closure, okay? So again, no, that's, again, abscisic acid is very important for the survival of the plant. No, it's a stress form. Okay, and lastly, we have ethylene. I guess in the laboratory, no, this was explained very clearly. So ethylene, no, is the only gaseous hormone, di ba? Siya lang ang gaseous hormone. And this could be sourced essentially from all plants of higher plants. From all parts pala of higher plants. They also accumulate in mature fruits to induce ripening, as seen in the experiment, di ba? You have the banana setup. And then, it's also made in senescing leaf, no? Senescing leaf, kaya nga sabi, during the fall time, when abscisic acid migrates to the buds, okay, it's the time that ethylene is made in the senescing leaf. And ethylene is necessary for abscission, okay? And ethylene can also be induced by mechanical wounding. That's the purpose why you mechanically wounded the banana in the setup, no? That's why it's also very important, no, to transport fruits covered with styrofoam. Nakikita niyo 'yan, 'di ba? Hindi niyo ba natatanong 'yon? Bakit yung mga apples, yung mga lemons, yung mga pears, meron silang balot na parang styrofoam net? O anong purpose nun? Pag bumibili tayo sa market, may mga balot sila, 'di ba? Yung mga nets. O anong
Para
purpose
Para
nun?
po
hindi
hindi
madaling
para
masugatan.
hindi malamog.
Okay, para hindi malamog, para hindi masira ang balat, para hindi ma-bruise, no? Kasi once there is mechanical wounding, it now releases ethylene, diba? And ethylene causes rapid ripening of fruits. So kung naka-container van yan, but transported yan, usually mga imported yan, ano? Pag naka-container van yan, at merong isa na nasira doon, no, it will now produce more ethylene and it would now promote faster ripening of fruits. So bago pa yung dumating sa kanilang ano ba, drop off sa kanilang sa supermarkets or sa mga markets, baka pwedeng mabulok pa yung ibang mga fruits na kasama nila. So that's why yun, no, kaya sila binabalutan para hindi rin sila nagbabanggaan during the transport. Okay? So yun, no? So ethylene can also be induced by environmental stresses and certain chemicals including auxin. Now, in terms of environmental stresses, ayan, no, it could be from internal combustion of engines and heaters. Yun, they also release ethylene. Yung smoking, okay, smoking including cigarettes, also in farms, di ba? In provinces. O sabi, para mamungay ang mangga na yan, pausukan na yan. Bakit? Para daw mag-start na mamulaklak, pausukan na yung mga mangga. Ginagawa pa rin yan hanggang ngayon. Bakit? Because smoke, no, is a source of ethylene, and ethylene, no, induces the flowering, no, of plants. Yeah, welding, yung rotten vegetation, meron din. Natural gas leaks, okay, manufacturing plants of some kind. That's why when you, ito, in relation to that, yung effect, no? So, ethylene is an aging hormone naman. So, abscisic acid is a stress hormone. So, ethylene is the aging hormone naman. Now, because it's an aging hormone because it now stimulates the production of cellulase. And cellulase breaks down cellulose. Diba? And when cellulose breaks down, so the cell wall becomes not so very rigid. That's why when fruits ripen, they soften. Diba? So, other functions of ethylene, so induces seed germination, no? So yan, pampatubo. And then again, in your laboratory, it promotes fruit ripening. There is a change in the color. There is also change in the consistency of the fruit, no, from hard to soft, again, because of cellulase. Okay? And another effect of ethylene is epinasty. This is in relation to environmental stresses that we discussed a while ago, no? So epinasty is actually the drooping of petioles, including the leaves. So ayan, no? And sabi, it's a common symptom, a common symptom of ethylene damage in tomatoes is epinasty, no? Meron daw siyang ethylene damage. So it means that the plants, no, they are subjected to more ethylene. That's why the petioles, they droop, no? Bakit kaya? Kasi one explanation, no, that's why in your homes pala, when you see your plants with drooping leaves, it could be a sign of overwatering, no? Kasi nga ang halaman, hindi naman yung ibang halaman, hindi niya gusto yung dilig ng dilig ng dilig kasi nagkakaroon siya ng root rot, 'di ba? So overwatering can cause flooding of the roots. So if the roots are flooded, they can't get oxygen, no, from the soil. Kasi nga marami ng tubig no, kumbaga barado siya. So the response of the flooded roots is to produce more ethylene, no? And ethylene na causes niyan the epinasty. So sa bahay nyo, pwede kayong makita na may mga sanga talaga, may mga dahon na yung petioles nila curve pababa. So ibig sabihin, overwatered sila. So, ibig sabihin, hayaan nyo lang sila. Pag tuyo na yung soil, saka nyo lang sila i-water. Okay? So, yan, no? So, ito din, no? So, if you see tomatoes and other plants near a vulcanizing shop or a factory or rotting vegetation, no? Yung mga possible sources of ethylene. So, ito yung kanilang usually common response, no? Yung drooping. So makikita nyo, maraming dito, ethylene. Baka may mga nabubulok na halaman dito o nabubulok na prutas o nasa tabi ng basurahan. Okay? So another effect, you have stunted growth and reduced flowering. Kasi nga, it's an aging hormone. No? Okay, another effect, yan, senescence or aging. So there is rapid flower aging and wilting. Okay? The buds are aborted. Kaya tingnan nyo sa bahay, ba't ayaw tumuloy ang bulaklak nito? Baka merong ethylene na there might be an ethylene source nearby, no? So you have chlorosis or leaf yellowing and eventually leaf necrosis or death. Okay? Yan, in your lab, no? It was demonstrated. You have the cuttings of the stem. Then when you place tomato, so after a week, no, the tomato in the lab setup released ethylene. And it caused abscission of the leaves. Yan. So again, no? So you have here the kamantige, yung impassioned species, not subjected to ethylene, so normal. And then subjected to ethylene for 1 day, for 2 days, for 3 days. So yun, no? You have the abscission of the flowers. Ayan. Now to finalize, so it says here that actually the responses of plants are because of the coordinated functions of the different hormones. Okay? And ito, no? You can see here the different effects of the different hormones. So, hindi lang, so a particular hormone can affect so many parts of the plants, no? And like for example, ito, no? Nakalagay, cytokinins made in the young fruit is necessary for its growth. Okay, but ethylene accumulates in the mature fruit to induce ripening naman. Ba? So it means that the growth and the ripening of the fruit is because of the works of cytokinins and ethylene. Now, they're also synergistic. Okay? Okay, so last topic on photoperiodism. Maiksi na lang to. Maiksi na lang, no? Okay? Okay, so a photoperiodism daw is any physiological response, no, prompted by changes in the length of day and night. Okay, so as I've explained earlier, so plants have a way of detecting whether they are exposed to longer lengths of day or longer lengths of night. No? That's why we have here 4 groupings of plants. We have the so-called short day plants, we have the long day plants, we have the intermediate day plants, and the day neutral plants. Okay? So, ayan, ano? So, we have here the short day plants or the long night plants. No? Examples, we have chrysanthemums. I guess these are very familiar to you. That's why, di ba, they are the flowers usually brought to cemeteries. Okay, tapos yung mga Christmas flower, usually they bloom starting mga October, November, yan, December. No, because they are long night plants. Because during these times, 'di ba? Sabi nga natin, o alas 5 pa lang, madilim na. Tapos mga alas 7 na ng umaga, madilim pa rin because we have longer lengths of night compared to the daytime, 'di ba? So, what are these short day plants or long night plants? So, they flower. So, ito sila, no? They flower, okay, when the length of night, no, is equal or greater than the critical length, which is mga 12 to 24 hours. 12 to 14 hours. Okay? So, ayan, ano? So, they flower when they are exposed to longer lengths of night compared to day. Okay? Katulad nito. So this plant, no, was exposed to a longer length of days. So hindi siya nag-flower, 'di ba? Tapos ito, also, no, for long night plants, even though they are exposed to longer lengths of night, but if there are flashes of light, no, that would interrupt that length of night, they would still not flower. So, kailangan talaga nila tuloy-tuloy, no? They need a continuous exposure to longer lengths of night. Okay, usually mga 12 to 14 hours, no, for them to stimulate flowering. That's why they are called long night plants. Okay? What about the long day plants naman? So, they require exposure to longer lengths of day compared to the nighttime. No? So you have yung spinach, yung mga ito black-eyed Susan, clover, carnation, lettuce, cabbage, radish, wheat. So these are examples. No? So they flower when the length of night is equal or less than the critical length. Again, yung 12 to 14 hours. Okay? So it means they are subjected to longer lengths of day compared to the nighttime. So if they are exposed to the longer length of nighttime, they don't flower. But the difference na between a short day plant and a short day plant and a long day plant is that the long day plants, no, even though they are subjected to longer lengths of nighttime, no, but when this period, no, is interrupted by a flash of light, it would still flower. Okay? So, yun. So, hindi siya masyadong stricto. Unlike pag long night plants, very strict yung kanilang flowering. Okay? What about the intermediate day plants naman? Yun, yung sugarcane, ito yung mayana, no? So, they do not flower when the day length is either too long or too short. So, tama lang. Na? Tama lang. Ito naman, yung mga walang pakialam. Yung mga day neutral plants. Na? So, the flowering is not affected by the lengths of day and night. So, bahala kayo dyan. Malilom yan, mainit yan. Basta kami bubulaklak at magpuprutas. That's why, kaya nakalagay, no? So, mostly, they are tropical in origin. So, that's why we have a year supply, diba? Of these plants. Yan, yung lahat yan, no? All year meron tayo yan. Hindi nawawala. Okay? Kasi wala silang pakialam, umaraw o hindi, bubulaklak sila at mamubunga sila. That's very good, no? So that they can really supply a lot of people. Okay? Now, going back to the question earlier, no? So how are plants capable of knowing or detecting that they are subjected to longer lengths of day or night? No? So they have the phytochrome. So a phytochrome is actually a family of blue-green leaf pigments, okay, that exists in two forms. Okay, so you have the phytochrome red, designated as P sub R, and the phytochrome far red, designated as P sub FR. So the phytochrome is said to be the major photoreceptor. It's capable of receiving light. Okay? And sabi, the response of the plant is because of the, so how would a plant know how to respond? So there is the conversion of these two forms, because they are short-lived and they are interconvertible, depending on the exposure of the plant to the sun. No? So yan. So conversion of forms allows a plant to detect photoperiod changes. Sabi natin again, photoperiod actually entails the length of day and night. Kung gaano kahaba ang gabi, kung gaano kahaba ang araw. So ito yung example, no? So halimbawa ito yung mga long night plants. Ito yung mga ito yung long day plants, no? Long night and long day. So halimbawa, during the nighttime, so the plants have more of the inactive form, yung phytochrome red. Okay, so during the nighttime, marami siyang active form. Marami siyang inactive form, yung phytochrome red. Okay, now during the daytime, this phytochrome red, kaya it's called red because it's capable of absorbing red light with a wavelength of 660 nanometers. Okay, and when it absorbs the red light, it's converted to its active form, which is the phytochrome far red. Okay, so it means if a plant is subjected to longer lengths of day, diba, there could be more active forms or the active forms can last longer. So the plants would say, I am exposed to a longer length of night. Longer length of day kasi mas marami akong active form o mas matagal yung mga activated form. Diba? So it means if I am a long day plant, I will flower now. Diba? Magpa-flower ako kasi mas mahaba yung exposure ko sa sunlight. So I would know. So I would flower. If that's a long day plant, no? But if that's a long night plant, I will not flower. Kasi I should be subjected to longer lengths of night compared to longer lengths of day. So hindi ko time mamulaklak, no? Maaraw pa, hindi pa ako dapat mamulaklak. So ganon. So that's how the plants would know whether to flower or not, whether to respond or not to a particular stimulation, okay? Because of their photoreceptor. Now, under the shade or during the nighttime, okay, the active form naman, no, is capable of absorbing the far red light with a wavelength of 730 nanometers. Okay, immediately converting the active form again to its inactive form, which is the phytochrome red. Okay? So if a plant would detect halimbawa longer lengths of night, mas marami siyang inactive form. 'Di ba? O kaya mas matagal yung inactive form niya. So if I were a long night plant, I am exposed to a longer length of night, so I can flower now. 'Di ba? So alam ko kung kailan ako bubulaklak. Okay? So yan, no? So they don't have a nervous system, they don't have neurons, no, but they have phytochromes in order to detect photoperiod changes, no, allowing a particular response. Okay? So ayun. Okay, that's it. That's it, pansit. May tanong po tayo?
Miss, yung sa abscisic acid po, 'di ba sabi niyo po kanina parang ano po siya, very helpful po siya kapag winter or fall po. Kasi onti lang po yung supply ng water. Gano'n din po ba yung case kapag drought season na or sobrang dry po? Kasi
Yes,
wala rin pong water. Okay po.
oo. So usually ang effect nun yung closure naman ng stomates.
So ano po,
Especially
maglalagas din po ba yung dahon do'n or hindi po?
hindi. Pag tropical areas, usually, the stomates, they just close o kaya yung mga, another, helpful, part, yung mga boliform cells, especially of grasses. So during very hot days, very bright days, no, they close para less surface area will be exposed to the sunlight. So that's also one. And yan, the primary hormone for that is abscisic acid kasi they close the stomates naman. Kasi the plants know na they will become dehydrated if the stomates remain open. So yun yung pinaka response sa tropical area, not actually the falling off of trees. Falling off of trees, falling off of leaves.
Miss, yung
Okay.
parang sa ano po, sa grasses po, miss, yung parang nagko-close po yung dahon, gano'n po ba?
Oo. So ang ano naman nun, boliform cells naman. 'Di ba
Okay
they
po.
become dehydrated naman. Kasi ang ano nun, gano'n din, effect din yun ng abscisic acid kasi they also dehydrate the boliform cells. Parang katulad nitong kanina, yung sa closure ng stomates. Same effect yun eh. Eto. So same effect siya, no? In this case, the stomates close. So sa boliform cells, yung mga motor cells na malalaki, parang I've discussed that in photosynthesis, no?
Opo, miss.
Ayun. So yun, same mechanism applies. So the boliform cells, they also get dehydrated. Okay, and then they make the leaves fold, no? In order to decrease surface area so that less water could be transpired from the plant body. So ganun ang effect ng abscisic acid.
Okay po.
Okay. Any other question? May natutunan naman.
Opo.
Yes.
Walang sumasagot. Akala ko wala eh. So may natutunan naman ng botany. Okay naman.
Yes po.
Okay. Basta the key is as bio students, you have to really, you don't 100% rely on the lecture of your profs, no, especially for the bio subjects. It's also very important for you to develop the habit of reading. Kasi hindi lahat nasasabi sa lecture. Maraming details ang nasa mga references. Okay? And yun nga, no? So you are studying a lot of terms, no, a lot of topics. So it's not really enough that you memorize, but you have to understand by heart. Kasi ang biology subjects nyo, sunod-sunod yan eh, duktong-duktong. No, the concepts that were discussed, halimbawa in botany, they are just simple concepts and you have to relate them to your higher biology subjects. Okay? Okay po?